Welcome to Station Talk, powered by the Firehouse Tribune, with your hosts, Tom Marciano and Nick Higgins. Two firefighters with a passion for all things fire service related. On this podcast, Nick and Tom sit down with fire service professionals and others to discuss their topics, their lives, on and off duty, and all things fire service related. So sit back and hope you enjoy this episode of Station Talk, powered by the Firehouse Tribune.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of Station Talk. Myself, Tom Marciano, Nick Higgins, powered by the Firehouse Tribune. It's been some time, but we're getting back in the swing of things here to close out 2025. Today's episode, we have Firefighter Christopher Whyte from the Elizabeth Fire Department in New Jersey, who also serves as the CISM Team Coordinator for the New Jersey FMBA. Chris has over 16 years of fire service experience, including both career and volunteer. Chris brings a wealth of knowledge and passion for firefighter education and growth. He's also the creator of Garden State Size Up, a platform dedicated to promoting fireground awareness, training, and leadership throughout New Jersey. We're looking forward to talking about his work, the importance of Size Up, and how firefighters can sharpen decision-making ideas on the job. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. So we always start off, we'll get to know you a little bit. So let's start off with your background. What led you into the fire service, and what keeps you motivated after all these years?
What got me in, I was just, I'm from Mountainside, a small little town, not a lot to do other than playing sports, which I was involved in. But, I was always interested by the fire department there. It was right down the street from my parents' house. I had some older relatives that were all New York City firemen and, a great uncle up in Patterson. So I always kind of gravitated towards it. And so I joined the volunteers, a couple guys that were older than me. We all became friends that were there. And it was great. It was a good time. Mountainside, not a lot of fires, but a lot of extrication work. So Route 22 kept us pretty busy. It was a lot of fun. And then, from there, I was just taking tests all over the East Coast. I was taking tests. And ultimately, it came down to I had 3 job offers all come at the same time. Baltimore County, police department that was local, and then Westfield Fire Department. So I went with Westfield Fire Department. It was the neighboring town to where I grew up. And I worked over there for a couple of years, but I was living in Elizabeth. I moved there when I was 19, and I was trying to get on the job. I was doing some ride-alongs with them. And then eventually, waited a couple more years. They called my number, and I made the move over, and I've been there ever since. It was the best thing I did in my career. I love it. And that's not putting down Westfield. Those guys are great over there too. But I just wanted a little bit more action and diversity within the scope of my career. So Elizabeth definitely brought that for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you got experience both as career and volunteer firefighter. How's that shaped your perspective on the job and people who do it?
I think it brings especially being from 2 different paid departments, a small Chiefstown test kind of department, and then a larger civil service department. Honestly, it just kind of changes my perspective on the job when you go department to department, right? It's the focus is what they get the most in, right? Or what's their biggest target hazards. So once you kind of figure that out within your department, that's where a lot of your focus goes, because that's what ends up being your bread and butter. So I think that's kind of the one thing that I am a little bit more aware of when it comes to that, just because I have the different, the different departments all in my back pocket, so to say. So, like I said, in Mountainside, we knew, we cut cars all the time. Those were our drills. In Westfield, big, beautiful mansions all over town. We focused on large area floor plans, kind of going in, no walls to search off of in a 1,000 square foot open floor plan house.
Right.
And then in Elizabeth, I mean, we got everything there. So it's, you focus on everything because that's what we do.
Yeah, and anyone that's ever been through Elizabeth, like you guys really do have everything. You got
everything.
Single family, you got urban, you got some high rises in there,
Yeah, airport, seaport.
Yeah, it's all there.
Major
Yeah,
airport.
so because I didn't realize that you guys covered a seaport there. I thought that was all Newark.
No, it's split. So
yeah,
it's split. So we have some of the terminals, and then Newark has some of the terminals, and same with the airport. So,
yeah, I think we found it out when Workus was on the show. He was telling us that's how that kind of works.
So you're talking about, yep.
I grew up down there, but on the Newark side, my father ran a shipping company out of Port Newark on Marsh Street for 44 years.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, before 9/11 and the need for security clearances, I was running up and down all those cranes over there as a kid, playing with forklifts and stuff.
So
it was great.
Great place to play manhunt.
Yeah. Dangerous.
Yeah, yeah, it might get shipped out somewhere. So speaking of the different types of occupancies and whatnot that you have in Elizabeth, tell us about Garden State SISM. What inspired you to create it, and what's the mission behind the page?
Yeah, so I mean, I was always the beautiful thing about career fire in New Jersey is our schedule, right? So I always needed to do something else on the side, and I always worked construction.
Okay.
And even before that, I was working for a township that I was doing welding and carpentry and just building maintenance. And so, yeah, as a young kid, I was going to Brooklyn and Staten Island, fixing up my uncle's apartments he had all over the city. And then just as I got older, I was getting more and more involved. And then when I was working in Westfield, my battalion chief there actually owned a renovation and reconstruction company. So I started working for him, and it was great. We were doing anything from like bathrooms and kitchens to $2 million homes that we were framing from scratch. So I love it. It's great to learn. You really get to understand a building a lot more and how fire can affect it when you're putting it together. So yeah, it's probably like, I mean, other than the fire service, it's probably like the thing I have the most interest in. Is just building. I love it. I have a small renovation company with my cousins still, where we do like bathrooms and basements and stuff. If we were doing this show in my basement right now, you'd see I'd have it all framed out. So
Nice.
yeah, that's really it. That's have a good background in it, and then basically, like you guys, I'm into the job. So as I'm going out and learning things and looking at social media, I just kind of saw this gap in like really understanding building components, right? And at the same time, throughout my tenure as a fireman, I would go to jobs and I'd hear an officer say, "Hey, I need you to open up the soffit." And then sometimes I'd see people looking at that officer like they just
what's a soffit?
Yeah, they were speaking Chinese to him. So that's kind of where my motivation for it came from, was like, hey, like we talk about building construction out of the book, right? And it's one chapter. These are the 5 types of construction that there are.
Never see it again.
Yeah. And it's like from the one that burns the least to the one that burns the most. And it doesn't go into that much depth as far as like, just the different building components. And then it's like, they talk about type 5, but there's like 5 different kinds of type 5, right?
Right.
So, and each one of them behave differently under fire conditions. It's important to know those differences too, especially when you're running a job, because that fire behavior in those different kinds of buildings will make or break how much time you give your guys to work. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, it's honestly, it's a great page. I stumbled upon it, I don't know, a few years ago maybe, and even now to this day, now, I mean, you and I talk now, but even beforehand, like, I was taking whatever you have, we were putting it in our group chat for in our firehouse, we have like a whole company group chat, and then we have a group chat that's mainly just for the younger guys. And we were always like passing stuff through there because it seems like you kind of just, wherever you are, you take a photo of something if you see something interesting and you post it. Like,
Yeah, I do that, and then I have guys like within certain departments or like across the 4 tours in Elizabeth that will send me photos too. So it's not always me like out.
Right, yeah, you got guys that help you.
To breaking into a house. But yeah, I do have some people that like will send me photos and kind of like a quick like, hey, this is what's going on. So
No,
the
that's
majority
awesome. Yeah.
of it is like me and my really weird Facebook algorithm. It's like all home inspect. I follow like home inspectors and this old house and all this kind of stuff to really grab a lot of different photos for everyone to kind of see.
Right.
And then I'll just throw my knowledge on it. And sometimes I got to do some research to know like what I'm really talking about with it. But
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you never stop learning. So
Yeah.
exactly. I've learned a lot just from kind of starting this page, and then like you guys said, you guys stumbled upon it. It's super rewarding hearing when you guys take this stuff and show your crew or use it on a training scenario or whatever. So
yeah, no, it's honestly one of my favorite pages because, like you said, there's a lot of fire training sites out there and stuff like that, and you don't see too many focus on the building construction aspect of it. And even the Fire for One classes or the fire academies or whatever, as you said, you go through your one chapter, you learn your 5 types, and game over. So,
and the thing about it is, like, when I first saw the page, immediately I'm like, I bet he's an Elizabeth fireman, but I'm not sure yet because I noticed some of the buildings in there, and I'm like, that's Elizabeth. I know the town well, and I'm looking at, I'm like, talking to firemen, and it's like the 5 types of building construction. I can rattle them off. I can tell you, but like you just broke down type 5 and said there's multiple parts of type 5 building construction. When you're first learning it, I was talking to someone in my firehouse the other night about it. He's like, the 5 types. But I'm like, do you really know the pros and cons of how they're going to react under fire conditions and what to look for and what's going to happen? It goes right back to what you said about a page in the book. And here we are with someone breaking this whole thing out into many layers. And it's not just layers. It's like building construction almost for the fire service so anybody can understand it at any level of their career. And that's what I like about the page is it's really broken down into pieces.
Yeah, and I think I have it in my bio, at least on my Instagram page, where I write like history. I think like that's a big part of it that's missing, right? Like, because especially where we live and work, the Northeast coast, oldest part of the country. That's what like people forget. Oldest part of the country, and I think every single town you drive in, there's at least a historical house, if not a historical block or historical part of town.
Yep.
And you look at the signs and it's like 1730, 1820, 1900. Like it's like, so I'm a big believer in like, you need to like know your town or your city's history a little bit in order to really understand, because that'll give you a jump start on, like I said, like giving yourself a size up real quick. If you know you're in the historic part of Plainfield and these houses are all from the 1800s to early 1900s, well, it's a solid bet that those are brace frame homes, followed by the later ones becoming balloon frame. But like you know that because just when they were built. So I think that's like a huge part of it is just kind of knowing your own town a little bit, and yeah, that's just what I tell people all the time. Like, learn a little bit about where you work, and it'll do you wonders.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We tell our guys in the firehouse all the time. Like, I don't care if you're driving with your family to the grocery store. Like, if you're driving on the street and you see new buildings going up, like, just take a look at it for a second. You're at that traffic light, look over and think like, how would I, attack that building or gain access to that building, or what's that roof line like? We were out last night with the tower ladder, and there was a building we were at that we were working on, and I could have sworn it was a flat roof or had a parapet roof into it. And one of the kids were like, no, I did work up there once with someone and I'm pretty sure it's a flat roof. But the way it looked from our side, like you would have thought it had like the nice decorated front and the side. I was like, nah, it's probably gonna be parapet. Sure as hell, it was just a flat roof that was uneven in 9,000 different spots.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of things that people don't really focus on anymore, I feel.
And if you think about looking at NIOSH reports, how many times did they fail to do a proper size up? And then you start reading deeper into these reports. Failed to do a proper size up, maybe didn't know the building construction, didn't understand the components of what they were looking at. And here we are, always been saying for how many years, the basic firefighting program doesn't have enough on building construction and respect with fire behavior. And that's why there's been a lot of extra books written on it, and guys like you coming out really breaking this down because of these areas that I don't think is the tough areas that people want to say they want to do in firefighting. They want to go in and tear the place apart, but they don't want to put their head in the book and understand. I honestly believe the most complex pieces of it all is understanding building construction, to be honest. And if you don't know that, you kind of fail in your job.
I agree. I mean, our whole job is to be protecting lives and property, and the property aspect of it is all these buildings. So understanding them a little bit, the pros and cons to them, it's important.
Yep.
Yeah. So and like as we know, building construction, it plays a role in making smart tactical decisions. So is there anything, like any key points that firefighters should really be paying attention to when it comes to building construction, besides just like an overall aspect of it? Or what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think it hurts to know like the basic terms. And I'm like, when I put this stuff out, my goal is for everybody to learn, but my main goal is for like the firemen to learn, right? Because those captains, those chiefs, they've already been in the books. They have experience. That older generation, a lot of those guys all came from working construction jobs and stuff too, where the younger generation, it's not as prevalent. So like, I would just love to see more of the younger generation just kind of learn and understand these simpler terms. That way, when their lieutenant, captain, battalion chief, whoever turns to them and says, like, hey, I need you to, sweep the eaves with the nozzle, they know what the eaves are, or like I said before, like overhaul the soffit area a little bit, or, check out if the rafters are still, intact. Like, what all these terms mean. And like, because again, like, size up, everyone says it's ongoing, right? So that was kind of like my mindset for it, is like, you're just going to be constantly looking and reevaluating at some of the stuff, but you need to know what it is you're looking at or what somebody's asking you in order to properly evaluate that. So that's why I love, like, some of the best posts that I put up are always those like diagram pictures with just breakdowns.
Right. Yep.
Here's a window, how it's framed. There's a header. Here's a jack stud, a king stud. It might not be totally useful information during a fire, but maybe a car's into the building. It could be something like that. It could just be structural failure due to termite damage or due to a tree coming down. Any of that kind of stuff, So I think all those terms are important, and I don't think it's talked about enough.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And one of the other things that actually helped me with building construction, believe it or not, is because, again, same thing. Like you said, it's not something that's touched on all the time. But when I joined the tech rescue team and I went through all my tech rescue classes, you start doing like the shoring classes and stuff like that. And really, they're teaching you construction stuff. Like, we were building supports and braces and everything you could think of. And when you're in the lecture portion of the class, you're learning building construction. Your point when you go to these cards in the buildings, you're essentially building something to maintain the stabilization of that building.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think that's something good.
Taken out. How are we going to support that now? Yeah.
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
So it's good that people, even if it's not a route you want to go, to definitely take classes like that as well, because it's teaching you, how things are built, and gives you good inside knowledge as well.
Yeah.
To switch things up a little bit, you're also involved with the New Jersey FMBA CISM Team.
Yeah.
For those who may not be familiar, can you briefly explain what the team is, what it does, and how it supports firefighters after critical incidents?
Yeah, so that acronym CISM that you're saying is the Critical Incident Stress Management, right? So in New Jersey, there used to be 4 volunteer teams spread out strategically across the state. So you had the Apollo team, which is like Northwest New Jersey. You had the Phoenix team, which was Northeast New Jersey. You got the Mercury team in Southeast New Jersey, and then the Genesis team kind of covers like Central West New Jersey. And so basically everything is volunteer, but what happened was the Phoenix team went under. And if you just think about the region the Phoenix team covered, it's probably the most densely populated part of the state. It also has the biggest career departments across the state all packed into it. And so almost 10 years ago, there was a need for some services like that in an FMBA department, and they couldn't find anything. So after some time went by, the treasurer from the FMBA, a guy named Troy Powell, good friend of mine, took it upon himself to do a lot of research and kind of found out, about those other teams and then the training that was needed. And he put it out to the FMBA, hey, who wants to do this training? And I couldn't sign up fast enough. At the time, I was a delegate for Westfield. I met the criteria the FMBA was looking for with joining the team. And, unbeknownst to them when I joined, but I actually had an experience with the Phoenix team prior in Mountainside, which is like a nasty double fatal fire where we pulled a couple victims out and they didn't make it. So they brought the team in and spoke to us, and it resonated with me. So I couldn't join fast enough just because I wanted to give back the way those people gave their time to me that day. And the class is intense. It's 3 days. They teach you how to talk to people and listen to people and be empathetic and be resilient. Once you take that, then you join. So for a while, we were busy, but there was very few of us. What I would say now, since I took over, because I took over as team leader like 3 years ago, and since then we've gotten crazy busy. I mean, average 2 a week. Last year's average was 2 a week. We're definitely at that now, if not maybe 3 a week. It's super rewarding. But it's super intense. You're going to help people in some of their worst times, or at least you're attempting
to help.
But most of the time it's always well received. It's very rewarding. My job is pretty intense as far as like I take in every single call that comes in. I have to then kind of formulate a dispatch that I send out to the team. And then what a lot of people don't realize, but it's super important for this stuff, is I have to find comparable peers for that department that's asking. So, what I mean by that is I can't send somebody from like a slow, small, quiet town and send them into a big, busy city. Because in order for the peer-to-peer, talking to work and for guys to resonate with them, they need to at least think like, oh, this guy works in this town. He's probably been in this situation before too, or something like it. Right. So that's where like the people we have on our team that are from bigger, larger cities are great because I can send them anywhere. The people that I have in the smaller towns, I'm a little bit more limited as to where I can send them, only because I was in their shoes when I was a Westfield fireman, and Troy didn't have the same options that I do now. And I went to a bigger department, and I definitely did not feel welcomed. And it was, I was just there to help. And fortunately, the guy I had there leading it, kind of recognized that too and was able to stomp it out. But I don't want anyone on my team to ever like have that same kind of crappy feeling when you're just trying to help. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I take that part of my job very serious with like matching the.
Yeah. No, as you should. Now, when you guys go out, like you're saying 2 a week or something like that. Now, when you guys go out, is it something that the departments have to kind of call you in for, or is it something that you kind of
Yeah.
automatically get sent in for?
Yeah, so the only one I would say I've ever like went to that we weren't dispatched to, but I was getting phone calls anyway, like as I was preparing to go there, was the line of duty death in Plainfield.
Okay.
Just because, like, when something like that happens, the need is there, but the thought is maybe an afterthought because they have so many other problems that they're dealing with at that time. So if we can kind of come in and take some of that stuff off of them, then we do. But yeah, when I say 2 a week, it's a mix mosh of us going out and us doing other things, right? So we do dealing with individuals, or we do group stuff. We make referrals for mental health, and we'll do like referrals to maybe our team isn't the appropriate team, but like we have the contacts in the state to either do a team for just like a group of PSE&G workers, let's say,
Okay.
or facilitating something in a school. Those are different resources that I can make a phone call and make sure that it gets done for them. But yeah, I mean, this past week we went out to 4 different departments, and what that was it was 3 chief officers that all called me with different things, and then it was a union rep who called me with one. So it can come from either direction as long as like everyone's on board. And then yeah, big part of that too is like, how many guys do you have showing up? That way I can keep the span of control. We don't go anywhere with less than 2, but if you tell me you're going to have 30 people there because you just had a unexpected sudden active duty death within your department and you want your members to be able to talk about it, I need to bring you 4, 5, 6 people. So
yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Now, when you guys do your discussions, especially on a group setting, because I know sometimes the stigma will pop in there and no one really wants to talk or whatever. Do you have something that you guys follow, or do you kind of just let the department kind of?
Yeah. So everyone, like I said earlier, we all have the same training, right? So there's depending on the service that we're providing, there's a different model that we follow. We're typically going out and doing debriefings, which is 48 to 72 hours after an incident. And with that, there's a 7-stage model that we follow in creating conversation. When we do that, like you as a chief might tell your guys, you all need to attend this, but I come in as the lead and say, hey, you guys are all here because your chief wants you to be here, but participation is voluntary. We encourage it, but you don't have to. But at least if you do, please make sure that it's positive and respectful, and you're not like jumping down somebody's throat. Yeah, like you as an officer or a union rep can mandate it, but once we come in, like if they don't want to talk because they don't want to talk to us, or maybe like they're more resilient than you thought and they don't need it, because that happens all the time too.
Right.
Then we'll just kind of give them a spiel as far as like how to keep their mental health in check and make sure things are going smoothly for them, and maybe this incident doesn't bother you, but something else might, and here are some signs and symptoms that it is, kind of stuff. So yeah, but anyone can call us. Like that's it. Especially like when it comes to one-on-ones, like if stuff's bothering you, give me a call. You don't have to talk to me. I think it's like almost 170 people. Some of them are mental health professionals. Some of them are clergy members. And then I got male and female firefighters. I got every rank covered. I have some retired people. And I got EMS workers. I got dispatchers. And I have 2 cops that also have like certified therapy dogs with them. They're super cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, our county just started doing this whole peer support thing, and there is a lady that has 2 German Shepherds, and she comes on a dispatch floor every once in a while, and it is kind of cool how they just, like the dogs being there just helps actually so much, and you wouldn't even think it does. Like,
It's funny. When we were dealing with Plainfield, I brought the dogs in for like the final day.
mm-hmm.
And I was so stressed out that whole week with dealing with everything, trying to make sure it was all getting done right for those guys, that the dog didn't leave my side the whole time. Yeah, I was the most messed up person in the room. So
It's like, dude, you need me.
yeah, but they're
That's
great.
awesome.
They're I always got to ask permission because some towns don't want them.
Right.
And of course, like the two cops have the most intimidating looking dogs ever. The one guy's got a 160-pound Rottweiler. The other's got a boxer that can have more energy. And so it's like they never come in with just like a German Shepherd. And it's like, all right, it's nice to see you.
So wait, so the Rottweiler is the mental health dog?
Yeah. Oh, he's Axel. Yeah, he's super well behaved. He's a good.
That's such a Rottweiler name too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How's the experience with CISM and peer support helped you better understand the overall well-being of firefighters, like in today's fire service?
Yeah, look, I mean, unfortunately, with my job, I get a lot of shitty calls. The one that breaks my heart the most is when somebody completed suicide. I do my best, and I think everyone on our team does their best to like prevent that. But unfortunately, it still happens. And what I've kind of seen through the years of doing this and taking some classes specific on it and stuff is a lot of the communication that's not being had is like communication within your own home. And what I tell guys all the time is, hey, if you're not going to tell your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the problem is going to be, at least take the flyer that we give you and put it on the kitchen island and let them look it over, because maybe they'll recognize some of these signs and symptoms and stuff is bothering you, and they don't think that they're the problem. Because that's what happens a lot of times. We shut down from whatever we're dealing with because we think we're protecting them and not sharing it. But their brain thinks, what did I do wrong? Right? And then it's kind of, maybe that happens once, maybe it happens every week, depending on where you work. You never know. But I think a big thing is like avoiding problems at home, right? Because the suicide rate a lot of times is tied with like issues going on at home, whether your wife is about to leave you or she did already leave you, you're going to lose custody of the kids kind of stuff, or maybe you're losing the house. So I'm a big proponent in like, just tell your wife or husband when you come home that you had a shitty night and you need a little bit of space. I think that goes a long way, because if you can keep the peace at home, it'll help you get through it a little bit more.
Yeah, kind of like one of those, my attitude's not towards you, it was a crap day.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the other thing that I've kind of learned is like everyone's resilience is different. And it changes through both your career, but your life experiences. And I could just speak to myself on that. Like, I always felt like I was pretty resilient towards anything that we would deal with at work. Like, nothing really seemed to bother me. I mean, calls bother you, but it's not keeping me up at night.
Right, yeah.
But, once I found out that like my wife was pregnant and now my life changes and now I got a, 7-week-old downstairs, when I hear those tones go off for like, an infant that's seizing or, an infant in cardiac arrest or something, it's like, it hits me a little bit different. And I think it hits every person a little bit different when they become a mother or father. So like, just recognizing that is like a big leg up on it, where some people maybe don't recognize that. And then, that also just, you could tie that into through the length of your career, you might just suffer some burnout with going and seeing fatals on the parkway every shift or, whatever it may be. So, yeah, I think like recognizing your own resilience and understanding that it changes through time is a big thing too. So,
yeah, it makes sense. It really does. Nick, I'm going to jump back into the size up stuff. Do you have anything else on the CISM stuff, or?
No, this is all like, we've all deal with it in different ways and
Yeah.
what we go through. So, and being
Yeah,
part of the foundation.
if I could just say one more thing on it too, and I kind
of
of
course.
learned it as I became team coordinator, is every town's critical incident is different and it's their own. And that took me a little bit of time to kind of understand. But, a town that might call me and say they had a CPR and their people are upset about it. Well, maybe that's the one CPR they did that year. And it happened to be on Thanksgiving and it was one of the members' neighbors' houses. It's like, but you hear it on the other side in a big city and it's just like, oh, that was the fourth CPR they did that shift. It's like, so they both suck, but they're different, and every department's different. And as a leader in your department, I'm not even going to say officer, but anyone who feels like they're a leader in their department, if you get a call and you get that gut feeling that this is really shitty, it probably is. And then it just doesn't hurt to call, whether it's me or any of the other team leaders, and just get the ball rolling.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And you kind of bring up a good point there with, maybe it's the only CPR call or whatever. But I feel like it's interesting because you got to be there for departments that are seeing it way too often, where it's almost like you go to work and it's, how many dead bodies can I see today? Versus another department where you kind of have to be there where they don't usually get that kind of stuff. So when they do see it, it's like, whoa, what did I just see?
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense too. And it's important that, and you guys, you mentioned earlier, you're out, it's not just FMBA stuff, right? Or FMDA stuff. It's all over.
Yeah, we help any department that asks us. I mean, I can tell you right now, we've covered off on both unions for fire, plus the volunteers, plus the state workers.
Good.
We've hit every single organization, and I don't mean like 572 towns, but we do them all. And when the police need stuff too, we'll help them. But they have cop to cop as well, so we don't typically field calls from police departments. But sometimes, like, maybe the incident was super crazy and the cops and firemen were involved together in it. We'll do it together, but that's as long as those organizations get along.
Right, yeah, which we know how that works. So we'll switch back for a little bit. And from your perspective, what separates a good size up from a great one? And how can officers train that skill more effectively?
Yeah, look, they tell you when you're kind of learning what exactly size up is and what you should be saying on the radio. They always talk about like paint that picture, right? So I'm blessed to work in a place where our officers can really paint that picture when you're coming in from, out of that first alarm district. And it really just is like a huge benefit for kind of understanding like where the fire is or what they think is going on and the construction and yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing is just being able to paint that picture, right? Because how many people you watch it all over the internet and whatnot. Or, 2.5-story wood frame fire shop, like, and that's it. That's all they get. But where are the exposures? What else is going on? Are there, do they know about occupants? All that kind of stuff. And so it just seems like they're screaming and they're yelling as fast as they can, and they don't take the 2 seconds to slow down and just kind of really state what's going on. And fires starting to impinge on the delta exposure, and my first due engine, I need you to stretch this, and second due, grab that hydrant on the way in, and this truck and that truck are talking to each other. I need you guys to nose into the building and get me a shot to the roof and whatever. So yeah, I just think it's it just takes practice, right? Anybody can look out of the seat that they're sitting in the fire truck, or just even looking at the buildings across the street from the firehouse, and just practice it, right? And just like anything else, you're training on giving a size up the same way you would on training on throwing ladders or pulling hoses. It's just, it becomes muscle memory. It becomes, a script that you follow, and I think the more you practice it, the better you'll be at it. And like the more collected, you'll be, as like, it's not as chaotic, right? You're a lot more dialed in. So yeah, just practice it. It's like anything. We talk about training on everything else. Nobody's training on their vocals and what they need to say. But if your job is to say it and run the job, you should be good at it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. So, what have been some of the most rewarding moments or feedback that you've received from Garden State Size Up since you've launched it?
Oh, I mean, like I said to you earlier, I love hearing like guys are using it. This is my first like public appearance. Like people find
Oh,
out
wow.
who I am running the page. So like other than like me running into a friend and like saying that I do this, like people don't know who I am. So yeah, I love hearing that kind of stuff. It just kind of it's like anybody running a page. It's the fuel that keeps you going, right? I can remember when my old roommate, who's a captain in Maplewood, was telling me that he pulls the stuff out and he uses it to drill his crews. I thought that was awesome. Um, I remember the first time I got a DM from somebody out of state, and I was like, "Holy shit! I have this kind of outreach." I was like, I knew New York City guys were following me, and some people, in the tri-state area, but I got like a DM from somebody in Nashville, and they were like, "Yo, this page is awesome, thank you." And then like the following week, it like same thing from like somebody in California, and these are guys I still like DM now
Right.
regularly, but I just was like, wow, I got something going here. This is pretty cool. And then, it's just, I love hearing that stuff and knowing that I have all the United States and some people in Canada following me. It's pretty cool. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I thought it was going to be, this cool little page that maybe like a couple counties in New Jersey would follow and find interesting. But
no, it's great, man. You're doing good stuff with it. You really are, because I think the same mentality you have that it's not talked about enough. Clearly, other people have that same mentality, and you actually, took your knowledge of it and did something about it to better the fire service with it. So definitely kudos to you. And like I said, it's something we look at all the time, and I'm always commenting on your stuff and whatever. But it's great. It really is a great page, and we'll make sure that when we post this, everyone knows the handle for it and everything. So
I think I think like the important thing with like people on social media is like don't get outside your wheelhouse, right? I'm not gonna like make posts on flow pressures at high rise building fires because like it's just not what I'm like trying to put out there to the world. So if I did like a random post on that, it wouldn't make sense and people wouldn't follow it. But I think it's important to stay in your wheelhouse. Fortunately for me, like I enjoy construction, so I keep up with it and I still do it, and it's relevant to our job, so it's easy to talk about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes a whole bunch of sense. So, finally, what advice would you give younger firefighters who want to become stronger decision makers on the fireground and leaders within their crews?
Listen, this job, I think what makes people like great at this job is experience. So if you're not getting that experience from work because you're just not getting the workload, there's no reason why you can't go out and take classes and get experience there. Or maybe you're not doing anything on your days off and you need a job. Like, don't go deliver pizzas. Go swing a hammer.
Right.
Learn some real world skills and experiences. I think that will make you a stronger firefighter, and within the context of being a strong firefighter, you'll inherently become a leader because people will want to follow you. So, it just takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's you have to know what you're talking about and be proficient in order to kind of be taken seriously in that kind of role.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's important for them to know is kind of like you said earlier is if you don't know it, don't be scared to research it.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
That's a great point. I used to, not me personally, but like our crew, we would run a drill at my old firehouse the firehouse I was before, the one I'm in now. There was a lot of 2-family homes all around it, and we would sit outside the front after dinner, and we would just pick out different things around a house and ask our probies, "What is that? What is that? Which door in that 2-family house takes you to the second floor versus the first floor?" Stuff like that to kind of get them thinking and understand it. But we would always tell them, like, hey, if you don't know, I don't want to hear you saying for 5 minutes.
Right.
Just, tell me you don't know, because then we can get to, well, here's what the answer is, and you can learn and we can go to the next thing. So, yeah, if you don't know, just don't hesitate to ask, or don't hesitate to look it up and find out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nick, you got anything else?
No, it's on that point about just, even anything we do in the fire service, we're not going to know everything.
No.
And, just to look something up real quick, like when we put out our articles or even just do other podcasts or posts, we have to research stuff because you're not going to remember everything in those things that you want to say. And I just know that looking at stuff like building construction and talking about it with firefighters in my own department, you get that sometimes that deer in the headlights stare when you're kind of asking them, practicing your stretch, how you got 200 feet of cross leg, how much do you have to get to the second floor, maybe on the Charlie Delta corner or something, like, they look at you, but they're like, just say you don't know, or
right,
ask questions. Maybe as you're asking questions, things will kind of start triggering in your mind, like, oh, okay, I understand a little bit more than I thought. And some people are just scared to admit what they don't know and afraid of being embarrassed. But it all goes back to, like you said, instead of saying for 5 minutes, ask, or just
And with that,
go on your
you always
phone.
hear people say, like, there's no such thing as stupid questions.
Exactly.
There definitely is stupid questions. But I'd rather you ask a stupid question,
Yep.
and then we can kind of get the thought out of your head and get you on the right track. And so then it's not a stupid question anymore, right? Because you were able to fix whatever it was you didn't have the answer to, or maybe your thought process was different. So,
Exactly.
yeah, no, I agree. We have one kid that always says, he's like, I got a stupid question, but I'm a stupid kid, so I'm going to ask it.
Hey, he's smart enough to be asking. So
correct, exactly. And I always tell them, like, that doesn't stop. Like, 22 years in the fire service here, it's like, I don't, I'm in a volunteer firehouse up here. So, yeah, I have knowledge and experience in some things, but there's still things I'm like, never really seen that before. And this is why
I'm doing that all the time with this page. I mean, that post that dropped this morning, I had those guys in Newark that I DM with, enough. They sent me that stuff. They're like, yo, what do you know about this? And I was like, nothing.
Right.
And then I hit up a guy in Toronto I knew from the page. He gave me a little bit of info. And then I found like a company out of Canada who is doing that exact stuff. Printed out their whole like spec house PDF on exactly what it is, all the fire ratings on stuff, I sent it to the guys in Newark. I read it up myself so that I could make a post about it, and then there it is. But like, I'm learning all the time with this stuff too, because things change, and you got to keep up with it. That's a big part of this job.
Right. Yeah. And I say it all the time, like, firefighting is a team thing, and you're going to get guys who are better at some things than others. And even now, as we try to build up our, tri-state fire training thing, like, Nick doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. But if we could build a team of guys who, this guy knows this guy knows that, you're covering all bases and different experiences based on whatever. And it's the same thing with going back with asking questions. Just because you don't know doesn't mean the guy sitting across from you in the rig doesn't know it.
Right.
So ask questions, learn, and I think that's one of the most important things is you're never going to stop learning. And if you do stop learning, you're either just too arrogant to be there, or you're just not into the job as much as maybe you think you are.
Yeah.
So where can everyone find you before we let you go here?
Instagram, is my big following, Garden State Size Up. And then, I just recently made a Facebook page. I probably should have been cross-posting for the last 2.5 years, but stupid me, I wasn't. So Facebook page is growing, but same handle, Garden State Size Up. I like the Facebook page a little bit more, actually, because it gives you guys the opportunity to be a little bit more interactive with the whole group. So that's what I'm kind of hoping will happen there as it, expands. So, yeah.
No, I appreciate it. And listen, really excited to have you on the show. As I said, I've paid attention to your page for a while. We've been in talks about getting you on the show for a while, and finally here you are. So definitely thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Your knowledge in building size up and construction stuff is top tier, and couldn't thank you again enough for coming on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys having me. So it was a fun experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Awesome. Whenever, and anytime you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Yeah. And we're not even far from each other. So, we're all
20 minutes away, like we said.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
So,
nice.
All right.
Well, man.
Yeah. So we appreciate it. For everyone listening, stay tuned for more. We have about 2 or 3 more shows, I think, for 2025. 2026 is starting to book up. Got a few good guests all coming. A lot of Jersey guys. Got some guys coming on from Florida. We just wrapped up an episode 2 last week that'll be released soon. So
next week, Thursday. 1 week.
So everyone keep listening, and till then, be safe. Live inspired, work hard.
Enjoy it.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of Station Talk, powered by the Firehouse Tribune. We hope you enjoyed today's content. We would appreciate it if you could give us a 5-star rating and or leave us a review. Be sure to stay up to date with our latest news, articles, podcasts, and events by visiting us on our Instagram page at FH Tribune or our website, thefirehousetribune.com, or on our Facebook. Just search The Firehouse Tribune. You can also contact us regarding our presentations, or even if there's a topic you'd like to hear on Station Talk. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, work hard, stay safe, and live inspired.